confidently say that the government which is likely to come in, if they do come in, will push for trade closures far faster.
Hello and welcome to EU Trade Insights. Joining us today is Sonjoy Mohanty, who is Secretary General for the International Spirits and Wines Association of India. Sonjoy, thank you for joining us.
Welcome. Good to be here.
EU and Indian negotiators have hit the pause button on the FTA talks ahead of the general elections in India. But even before they did that, there were a lot of difficulties in concluding these talks, mainly because of the spirits and wine sector in India. Tariffs are extremely high in India. I think it's 100% for wine and 150% for spirits, but correct me if I'm wrong.
The bottle of spirits that you buy, which comes in at 100, first gets taxed at the federal level with basic custom duty at 150%, and then goes on to be additionally taxed between 300 to 400%. So what costs 10 euros coming in, by the time the consumer buys it, it's at 55 or 60 euros.
But that state tax, federal tax, etc., that was actually challenged at the WTO by both the European Union and the United States. I think the European Union dropped its case at some point.
That's right, but right now nobody is going to pursue that line of argument because they all know it's just too large a market to ignore. And despite the taxes in place, the demand is very, very large. Let me give you some numbers. India is the largest whiskey market in the world. It's at 300 million cases. Now, if even 5% of Indian consumers decide to take up either bourbon or Scotch whiskey, currently the Scotch whiskey cannot supply those sort of numbers. 15 million liters to be supplied out, they won't be able to. So they will pursue this reduction in a phased manner to keep up being able to supply it out. Otherwise, somebody else is going to fill that vacuum in, and surely the EU Spirits Union do not want somebody else to fill up that vacuum.
And so what would actually happen if, because of an FTA or anything else, Indian authorities decided to cut these duties? What would happen to the Indian spirits and wine sector?
Well, the spirits and wine sector has been growing at 15% CAGR over the last 3 years. The reduction in the duty of basic custom duty from 150% down to what people are negotiating to 30% will be over 5 years. And the reduction will be gradual. And the gradual reduction will allow the demand to be fulfilled and hence being able to meet the final consumer. So yes, it will help to grow the market.
So who exactly in India is against this FTA and is lobbying maybe the authorities for this? Well, against this.
I must admit here, it's not an issue of lobbying against the FTA. The FTA, if I take 3 reasons why it's got delayed in its progress, one of the things that when EU went in, they realized that to get the FTA passed, it needs to follow a legislative process within India which gets passed by the parliament, and that takes time. And the flux that we've had, and India is run by a coalition government, so to get that majority in the parliament to get it through has been a challenge. When you run to the coalition, you need to carry everybody with you on that decision. So it's not really the versus, there's one segment saying no. It's just a question of being able to get the parliament process through in the right manner, and that just takes time.
So it's pure politics. We have in India general elections coming up. I think they're running from April to May.
That's right.
What changes can we expect after that? Do you think negotiations with the European Union are going to resume and maybe conclude at some point?
You're absolutely right. The new government, whichever one comes in, we expect there's another national party called the BJP, which is expected to come in. The industry is favoring the BJP because they're extremely pro-trade. And we expect that once they come in, they'll pick up the negotiation and bring it to a logical conclusion, because let's be clear, this is benefit for both EU and India. That's why they're having a discussion. It's just about closing the discussion out. Now, what kind of timelines? Depends. Do they start the discussion where it was left off, or do they start the discussion ab initio? So that's really it is. But confidently say that the government which is likely to come in, if they do come in, will push for trade closures far faster.
Sonjoy, thank you very much. This was Sonjoy Mohanty, Secretary General for the International Spirits and Wines Association of India, for viEUws. Thank you for watching.